Good morning. It is currently a, rather wet day at Warrington Bank Quay, but today we're doing something I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and that is walking along and talking about a disused railway line. And that line is known as the Warrington and Altrincham Junction Railway. So, shall we begin? So the Warrington and Altrincham Junction Railway is a former passenger railway line spanning from what is today central Warrington and southwest Greater Manchester, running from between Warrington Bank Quay and Broadheath stations. The line was opened in 1853, however close to passengers in 1962, and then to the east of Warrington Wilderspool, close to freight in 1985. There are talks of potentially reusing part of the line to connect Liverpool with HS2, but only time will tell. But wait, you may be thinking, Warrington Bank Quay is a pretty well-used station, right? Well, a lesser-known fact about Warrington Bank Quay is the fact that it used to have low-level platforms, which you can see through the fence in this car park that I'm currently in. Now, Warrington Bank Quay low-level was a bit of an anomaly when it came to closures because the rest of the stations along the line closed at latest 1962. However, Warrington Bank Quay shut in 1965 due to the fact that there was still a late-night service running all the way to York that still called at Warrington Bank Quay, which therefore kept the platforms open to passengers a bit later than the rest. So there you go, there is the first station along the branch, closed since 1965, so shall we move on? Whilst we're heading to the next station, we can take a brief pit stop at the bridge on Slutcher's Lane, which gives us a really nice overhead view of the line and a view of the Arpley Junction signal box. And speaking of Arpley, now, whilst where I am might just look like a bog-standard car park for a go outdoors, I'm actually currently at the location of the former Warrington Arpley station. Warrington Arpley was the main railway station serving central Warrington following its construction in 1854, and before Warrington Bank Quay's construction in 1868, which caused the station to be closed, but was then reopened 3 years later for reasons that will be discussed later on in this video. The station last closed to passengers in 1958, and also oddly functioned as a bus station from the 1930s until the 80s. And this particular car park section, which is unfortunately blocked off by a gate, was the location of the original station forecourt, which has unfortunately since been demolished. Now, something also worth mentioning about this sort of area is despite the fact that it's, well, closed, it was actually still pretty well used into the 21st century due to freight traffic being required to go down here. Unfortunately, it was diverted via places like Earlstown, I believe, but what happened was they still had to come down here to reverse and go back. And I believe from the very limited information I could find, it was to their main use now in recent years was to get coal to and from Fiddler's Ferry power station, which is now shut as of 2020. So I don't know what use they have for this now, if any, but still, it's fairly interesting. So here's a pretty cool thing you can see if you walk down here a bit. If I try not to get prickled by all the plants here, here we are. One of the bridges that goes across the Mersey and also takes the railway line along it. And there you go, you can just walk. We're not going to walk there because you can't actually get over the other side, but still, look at that. That's really cool. And of course up there too, you can see the original Arpley signal box. Anyway, next station. So here is the location of the former Warrington Wilderspool station. It was a very short-lived station, was only open for a combined total of about 4 years. It was originally intended to be the replacement for Warrington Arpley station following the construction of Warrington Bank Quay because they were really close together. However, at the time it was considered that Warrington Wilderspool was not very well suited to serve the centre of Warrington, and so the residents basically kicked up a stick. So in 1871, the council rather begrudgingly closed Warrington Wilderspool and reopened Warrington Arpley, and so the station has never been used since. You can also see, looking down the line further there, that it basically, the line cuts off and becomes just trees and grass and overgrown, and that is because that point on, the line is properly closed, and no freight, nothing. It has not seen trains since 1985, so
Shall we make our way there? Here's the location of a former canal. Nothing to do with the railway, just thought that was cool. Disused bridge. We'll be seeing a couple more of those down the line. So behind me here now is what probably just looks like some bog standard apartments, but they're actually built on the sidings of a certain station. And that station was Latchford Station, which was located basically here. The railway would have run along the embankment up there, and this is the first of the stations along the rest of the line which has been closed since 1985. No trains have run on there since then. But I mentioned specifically that the line closed to passengers in 1962 and then freight in 1985. But what caused it to close to freight in 1985 specifically? Well, that would be thanks to this absolute behemoth right here, the Latchford Viaduct, spanning across the Manchester Ship Canal. So what did this bridge have to do with the line's closure in 1985? Well, at the time, what happened was that the bridge was found to be in a pretty bad state of disrepair, and it was deemed too unsafe for the trains to continue running along. So they had a choice. They could either cease operation on the line or repair the bridge. And in the end, it was deemed to be more cost-effective to close the entire line and divert the trains via an alternate route. And so, since 1985, no trains have gone through here since. So that is the Latchford Viaduct. It is absolutely huge. I love it. I mean, if I could get closer, I would, but I am by no means an urbexer, so I'm not going to do that myself. It has started raining very heavily. The weather cannot make up its mind today. So there's being a bit of a downpour at the moment. That's fun. I'm currently just taking shelter in a bus shelter underneath one of the abandoned bridges on the line, funnily enough. So, yeah, this is probably not ideal filming weather at the moment. I'll be back when the rain lets up.
And of course, a huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members who are listed on screen now. And a warm welcome to my new standard premium member, Tommy G. Thank you all very much.